So I'm back again because I realized that I never even mentioned something that I told my son as we were walking to school, that it was very important, that it's something that the scientific community, whatever, wherever they are and whoever they are, needs to be thinking about, because I know I can't solve it. The thing that he got me talking about was energy. He was talking about the electrons that everything had, and it forever bothered me how if everything has I love the periodic table. I grew up looking at it and I love it. It's so perfectly organized and everything. But the thing that it made me think a lot about is how electrons and protons and electrons and neutrons. I want to say neurons because my daughter is constantly saying that her brain has neutrons. And I'm like, no, it's neurons. But in this case, I'm actually referring to neutrons. Okay. And how, if everything has the same thing, is made of the same building blocks, how can things smell differently, taste differently, look a different color? Well, the color I can understand because the wavelength. But when did, maybe it's the same thing that kind of throws people for a loop if they don't understand how liquid changes to gas. How can water just instantly be ice? I understand that. I'm not asking because I don't know. I'm just saying that might be a similar question, but I'm wondering, how can you just have some electrons and, oh, I'm going to remove this electron. If I could actually physically take an electron out, then suddenly it would change color and change smell. It would be a different thing. And I used to think that is just so different. So it's our perception of the electrons that give it smell. Another thing, and this has nothing to do with what my children were talking about this morning, but I've thought a couple times, well, because we don't smell in our dreams is what I've come to think. I don't know if it's true or not, but if we don't smell in our dreams, my mother has no sense of smell. Does that mean that she is a more perfect being than us? Is it a lesser thing to be able to smell? I don't know. But anyway, I digress. The thing we were talking about was energy. I started thinking about electrons and, what he was talking about basically was food webs. And we were talking about because we were talking about Halloween and spider webs. Anyway, and so we got to talking how the food web, how apt that was for Halloween. And how somehow we started talking about the sun then and how much energy. And he's like, so how does when the sun comes out, I don't remember how we segued from one thing to another, but we were talking about our ozone layer and how we wanted to keep it safe because it protects us. He said, is it really keeping us safe? I was like, yeah, it's like an M&M, the candy outside. It's not most of it's not that. It's just a little outside shell, but it's really strong and it protects us against all of the. And he says, like, solar flares. And I said, I don't know if it's emissions, if it's an IM or an EM. I don't know. And then he said, like, solar flares. And I was like, yeah, it emits solar flares. And I was like, it must be EM then, because emit is EM. Anyway. So while we were talking about that, then he starts saying, oh, well, but we don't eat the light. Oh, because I asked him, I said, well, is it a law or a theory that energy can't be created or destroyed? I think it's a law. And he says, yeah. And, well, so where do we get our energy from? I said, we get it from eating things. And he's like, so we don't get it from the sun? I was like, yes, we do get it from the sun. Because the sun gives energy to plants, and they're the bottom of the food web. And so we talked about that for a while, and he was like, okay, yeah, so basically everything that has energy on our planet comes from our sun. I said, yeah, I guess so. Bravo. But then he started asking me about white holes. Now, is there such a thing as a white hole? I don't know. I've always been kind of fascinated by black holes. Oh, I know how we got talking about black holes. Was we were talking about, well, what happens when the sun runs out of energy? Because energy can't be created or destroyed. This is the question for the scientific community. Whoever you are out there, if you happen to hear this, we seriously wonder what happens to the energy after we use it. Because it can't be destroyed, so it still exists somewhere. Well, what is our byproduct of energy? The only thing I said to them is, you know how when we walk in the snow, we still leave a footprint behind, so maybe the energy of taking a step, some of it, that motion, and the energy, kinetic energy is being transferred to our soles of our feet, but I think that might be heat energy escaping from our muscles. Which that is one way energy could be leaving us, is through heat, body heat, because we're constantly generating body heat and it's constantly escaping from us. Back to the whole black hole, white hole thing though. Okay, so then he's like, he didn't know, he wanted me to tell him about white holes. And I said, well, I'll tell you what I'm thinking and I'll just make it up right now, okay? So it's not true. I said, well, if energy can't be created or destroyed, and black holes suck up all the energy, well, it can't be destroyed, so they can't destroy the energy. So that means if it's constantly sucking up energy, it has to still be somewhere in our universe. So that means in our universe there are white holes that shoot all that energy back out that was stuck in a black hole. It like inverts a black hole. For every black hole in the universe, there is a white hole. I said, no, actually, I don't know what a white hole is, and I haven't looked it up yet. Does anyone out there know what a white hole is? I don't know. But anyway, if energy can be created or destroyed, it's a theory anyway. I don't know if they actually exist, but I've always wondered what the heck happens to things. He was like, well, light can't get out of a black hole. I'm like, okay, so if it's keeps sucking up light and energy and everything and nothing can escape, well then there wouldn't be any energy, would there? So the end of our universe is finite. It has to happen. And we don't believe that's true. Anyway, so that gave us something to think about anyway for the morning walk. That's the kind of stuff we talk about on our way to school in the morning.